Hi guys, welcome to Drum Dog, and today we've been learning a bit more about vintage drums.
So this weekend, Ryan and I took a visit to Simon John's Vintage Drum Show here in the UK. And now, this is a show that neither of us have been to before, actually.
No, heard some great things with friends, and we're not really vintage drum guys.
No.
Well, not knowledge-wise. We've got our lovely Carlton here, and a few bits. We thought we'd take the opportunity, with so many vintage experts in one room, to take a couple of instruments that we've got and find out a little bit more about them. So we had, say, 4 goals. So task number 1 is find out what we can about our little Zildjian here.
Task number 2 was to get a pre-international drum head for our Trixon, and task number 3 was to get a slot key to be able to tune it and our Carlton.
And number 4, definitely don't buy anything.
No matter what happens, we're not here to make purchases. And I think I don't think that's going to be too hard.
Absolutely, it's a good job you bought the estate.
So first things first, after just being kind of wowed by how cool the show was and how much cool stuff there was, and having a wander, seeing what was available, we finally got back on track, and first step was to find out about our Zildjian, which we asked the very knowledgeable Tristan over at Drumatic about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are based in Somerset. We drove all the way to Coventry, which is about 3 hours, to ask someone from Somerset what a knowledge there.
Yeah,
what a cool guy.
Definitely.
What a
Lovely
cool
guy as well.
I've been to his shop before. Check it out, Drumatic, if you're into vintage drums.
We'll put a link in the description.
But yeah, he took a look at our little Zildjian and he gave us a few pointers. So he told us
It's a little bit older than we thought it was.
much older. Well, not much older. Yeah, I was thinking. Well, I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know vintage Zildjians, but I was presuming, what, 50s, 60s? That sounds old.
He was saying this could go back to the 30s with the. He identified the stamp. He's taken some pictures and is going to give us some more information. But judging by the smaller hole, and apparently this is quite nice because people get hold of these cymbals and make the hole bigger to fit modern stands.
And we are lucky that we do have a couple old stands that we got with our Carlton to mount this to, but it doesn't fit a modern stand. It is too small.
But it does sound really, really nice, the cymbal.
Yes. For a 15-inch crash, it's got a real vibe to it. Usually I hate smaller crashes just by default. I'm a 19, 20-inch crash guy, but this 15's got a real... It's got a bite to it.
It could be 90 years old.
It's nearly as old as you, man. And then task number 2, which was still with Tristan at Drumatic, actually, considering he just seems to know everything there is to know about old stuff, was to find out about our Trixon and to get a head for it, which we didn't get a head for it because turns out it doesn't need a pre-international head. It's actually a metric drum. So it turns out this is not actually a 14-inch snare. This is a 36-centimetre snare. Which does make it quite hard to find heads for, unfortunately. So we might have some fun and games with that one, but we will persevere because we've never actually heard what it sounds like yet. After owning it a while now.
Yeah, it came with the Carlton, but I'm looking forward to you doing this up, so I don't have to, and hearing what it sounds like.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And that brings us on to task number 3.
Oh my god, how expensive are those keys?
So, slot drum keys, because the older style tension lugs aren't a square, they are a circle with a slot through the middle. So we've just been using a flathead screwdriver, which does the job quite nicely, but because they've got the little wedge shape to them, it does tend to open up the slots a little bit, which isn't really good for them. You know, you're bending old gear. It feels irresponsible as a vintage drum owner. So I wanted to get a slot key. There was one available at the show, which I didn't get round to asking the price of, because by the time I came round to it again, it was sold. So I asked the guys over at Rubik's Drums if they had any available, and they said, yes, we do have them, but we haven't brought them with us today because no one tends to buy them because they sell for £80. A drum key should, like, an expensive drum key is like, what, £6?
Yeah. Yeah, unless it's a fancy one.
And yeah, we did have a look online. I mean, old knackered ones that look really tired with all the chrome flaked off go for 20, 30 quid, but the tidy ones are 80, 90 quid for a drum key.
Do you reckon that's a British thing? Let us know. We've got quite a few American subscribers. Let us know, is that because obviously the land of the vintage kit in America? Let us know if that's the same over there. Are we being ripped off over it? Because that's a very expensive drum key.
I'm sticking to my screwdriver.
Yeah.
Never mind the bending rods, they'll be alright.
So, task number 4.
Yeah, we really succeeded.
Don't buy anything.
How did you do with that?
I got... Well, I broke the ice with something small. I found the brochure to the drum kit that I bought at school, the original brochure for it, which I still have that drum kit, and in fact our foundation workshop package on our website, drum.dog, is the one I use to teach the foundation workshop.
And those brochures were in mint condition. They were really tidy.
Yeah, it's really nice to have it.
How long have they been kept?
1996 would be that kit.
Yeah.
Mine, so yeah, that's how old I am. So that broke the ice, and then you went and got some stuff for your snare.
Yeah, I got some cool little Aruga percussion little trinkets, which we have a video coming up on soon, thanks to the guys over at Rubik's Drums.
And then I bought just a bass drum.
Yeah, just a bass drum. He says, what? It's a 22, isn't it, Ryan? Look at this monstrosity.
I've taken it apart. I'll put a picture up. But this is 1950s. It's a marching drum from like a cadets band. At 10 years old, I first started playing drums in a marching band, and that's what got me into it. So I thought, if I can restore that, maybe not to playing, but maybe a nice ornament to put in my living room, I'm going to have good fun restoring that.
That's a cool piece. It's a really nice
cool piece.
And it set you back a lot, huh? It was really expensive, that.
It was very, very cheap. But there is work to do on it. I mean, there is one of the hoops. It looks like the rim of a sombrero. It's so warm.
Nice.
So I've got my work cut out, but we'll keep you up to date on how I get on with that. And then the last thing wasn't vintage at all, but we've got another video to come out with that as well. But it wasn't very expensive either, was it?
No, I got myself a new cymbal that was very cheap, and I definitely don't have to worry about that.
Which leads us on to the fact that there was lots of vintage stuff and some really cool stuff. There were a couple of smaller brands displaying new stuff, which I really liked. There wasn't the Zildjians and the Sabians, obviously.
Yeah.
But you
know, for local drum builders, Bristol Drums, who are building segmented, gorgeous bespoke snares. We had obviously Impression cymbals with their display from Turkey. We had Dream cymbals with their display, and it was really nice. I tell you what, there's one thing about this drum show that felt completely different to any drum shows we've been before, and that's the fact that everyone was just really happy to talk and hang out and chat. It had a real community spirit, which I've never felt that at a drum show before.
No, it wasn't. Even though people were there to sell stuff, I didn't feel sold to about anything. It was just a really nice community feel. There was a little bit of education, so our friend of the channel, Rob Bryan, was there. He gave a talk and some demonstrations about Ringo Starr.
And as well as that, some of the traders were just guys with drum collections selling some of their drum collections.
They just wanted to chat drums.
Yeah, they were just happy to chat, and the prices were all really reasonable. It wasn't so much of a, okay, here's my rare drum collection and but it'll cost you. It was kind of like everything was really reasonably priced, and everyone just seemed happy to know that other people would enjoy the gear that they were selling.
I get the impression that you get when these vintage drum collectors come out of the woodwork, and get together. I think people care about these instruments so much more than they do new stuff, and I think they're just happy that these kits go to nice homes.
Yeah.
The guy I bought this bass drum off was delighted that I was going to restore it and keep it. He was really happy that I bought it, and I didn't pay hardly anything for it.
Yeah. It was such a great vibe. It was a really nice show. We'll definitely be going back next year.
Yep.
It was just a really pleasant surprise how much we enjoyed it. As people who aren't into vintage drums, it was an absolutely brilliant day out. Can't wait for next year. So thank you very much to the Simon John's Vintage Drum Show for doing what you do. You guys are awesome. See you again next year.
And let us know, do you have a smaller community drum show in the country you come from that you enjoy and you go to? Let us know all about it in the comments.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see our videos on our little bits and pieces we picked up at the show, and we hope to see you again soon.